Hi, in this video, I'm going to demonstrate to you the Classwork tab in Google Classroom and how you can utilize it in your class. So here's an example of a classroom. As you can see, the Classwork tab has all of the assignments and resources separated so that students are able to find the information that they need quickly and easily because everything is labeled for them. So I'm going to demonstrate to you now how you can create assignments in the Classwork tab. First, you want to go to your Google Classroom that you're going to utilize. So for example, here, I'm going to use this Google Classroom that I created as my sample. I'm going to go over to the Classwork tab and I'm going to click on the blue Create button. Here you get different options. You can create an assignment, a quiz, a question, material, or you can reuse other posts that you've used in the past. Let's start with assignment by going to the blue Create button and then clicking on assignment. When you click on assignment, you have a few different options. First, you have to title your assignment. My suggestion is that you number your assignments or date them so that students know exactly what assignment you're talking about. So here I'm going to number it assignment number 1 and give it a title. And then under instructions, this is optional. You don't have to fill this out, but this is where I would give directions. So here, explain in detail what you expect your students to do. Once you have your explanation here, now you have the option of adding a document that you might want them to use for their assignment. So if you have a PDF document or you have documents that you create in Word or Excel that you want your students to utilize, you're going to go here to the plus sign and you're going to have options. You can get it from your Google Drive if it's a Google document. You can add a link. So if you want them to watch a video from YouTube, you would add it here. If you created a file that's on your desktop or your flash drive, you're going to go to File. So here I'm going to go to File and I'm going to find a document from my computer that I want my students to use. To find a document from my computer or my flash drive, you're going to go to Upload. And then you're going to click on Browse. This is going to open the documents that you have on your computer or laptop or allow you to use your flash drive. So I'm going to go to my documents and I'm going to scroll for a document that I want my students to use. And let's say, for example, I'm just going to open any document. I want them to use this document. I'm going to click Open. You're going to see that the document is going to load and it's going to appear here. Now, if it's a document that you only want your students to look at because they're going to do their work, let's say on a notebook, then you're going to go ahead and leave it as student can view file. If it's an assignment that you want kids to make changes to, then you're going to select student can edit file. Just be careful with this selection because that means that everyone that you share the document with is going to change it one document. That means they're all going to have access to the one document. This is only good for like group work if you were going to select a few students to work on one task. Most teachers use make a copy for each student. That means that the document that I'm sharing with them, each student gets their own copy so they can write in the document and their answers will be on that document saved. So you would then receive back from your student one document per student. So this is the example that most teachers use. Then here on the right-hand side, you have other options. You have the ability to assign it to just more than one class. So let's say that out of the classes that you teach, 3 of them are 6th grade classes and they're all going to get the same document. You can check off which classes are going to receive that assignment. Here, you also have the ability to give it to all of your students. As you can see, everyone has a check mark, or you can uncheck all students and only give it to a small group of students to complete. Here, you have the ability to decide whether you want to give the assignment points, which means that you're going to grade it and then return it to the student, or you can choose to have an ungraded assignment. You can choose to designate when the assignment is due. So if I assign the assignment today, I can have it turned in on September 21st. And if I wanted to add a specific time period, I can. So I can say 3 p.m. is when I want the assignment turned in. Here, I can decide to name it a specific topic. So when I opened the video, I showed you how that Google Classroom has separate topics for their assignments. So I can create a topic and name it homework. And all of the homework assignments that I create will go under this topic. So if I tell Johnny that they did not turn in assignment number 3 for homework, they can find the topic homework, and then they can find assignment number 3, complete it, and then turn it in. If you're giving them a rubric because you're going to assess it or you want them to assess their work, you can create a rubric or reuse the rubric that you've already used in Google Classroom. And then finally, you have an opportunity to check whether or not a student plagiarized their work, which means that they just copied it straight from the internet. You only get a few of these options throughout the year. I believe it's 3. So I would only do this for a big project if you wanted to make sure that the student was handing in original work. Once you have all of your items completed, then you're going to decide whether or not you want to schedule the assignment. So you don't want it to appear today. Maybe this is work that you're working on for next week. You can schedule it so that you can decide what day it's going to appear. For example, I want this work to be posted on Monday the 21st, and I want it to be posted at 8:45 a.m. and I can schedule it. Or I can choose to assign it right away. So that means it will appear in the stream that I posted a classwork. Or maybe I'm not done creating the assignment and I want to come back to it later. You can save it as a draft. And that means that it won't show up for the students, but it'll still be in your Google Classroom so that you can work on it at a later time. And once you click assign, it'll go straight to your students. So this is how you can create an assignment. If you wanted to create a quiz, you can go ahead and click on quiz assignment. What it does is open a blank Google form that you can then manipulate and change to create as a quiz. You would do the same thing, enter a title, supply students with directions. You can decide whether you want your grades to be imported, which you can also decide to toggle off so there's no grading. You can decide who gets it, so which classes and which students. Again, you can decide whether you want it to have points or be ungraded. You can give it a due date. If this quiz is a homework assignment, you can put it under the homework assignment topic that you would have created in the first task, or create a new topic. And let's say we want to name it quizzes, because this is where all of your quizzes are going to go. Again, you have the option of the rubric and the plagiarism. Here, you would have to go ahead and click on the blank quiz so that you can update the quiz to reflect all of the questions that you want your students to answer. So here you would name your quiz, you would enter your questions, And I can give you a separate video on how to create a Google form if this is something that you're interested in. Once the form was created, it would appear here. And then again, you have the same options of assigning, scheduling the assignment to appear at a later date, and saving it as a draft. The next option is to create a question. Creating a question will allow you to post what is today's date. Let's say that was my question for the class. And I want my kids to provide a short answer as an explanation for this question. I can choose multiple choice and give them options also by adding today is Monday, today is Tuesday, etc. And then I would have to designate what those options are for my students. I would still give them directions. I want you to answer this question based on whatever assignment that you gave them. Again, you have the option of choosing which classes get it, which students get it, whether it has points or no points, whether there's a due date or no due date. You can assign it a topic, and you can choose whether or not your class sees a summary of all of the responses, or you can uncheck that and the students won't see the responses, and then you can go over it at a later date. Again, you have the option of scheduling it or saving it as a draft or asking the question right away. When we go back to the create button, here we have also materials. This is where you can list any student resource or material that you want them to access. So for example, if you had the link to a textbook that they are going to be using, whether you have a link to a video that you want them to refer to, you would give it again a title. You would add it either from your Google Drive, a link, YouTube, or your computer. Or you can create it right here using one of these options if you don't have the material already made. Then once it's done, you can choose whether or not only one class gets it or multiple class receives the material, whether it's all students or some of the students by selecting them. And also you're able to give it a specific topic title. You would then have the option to post the assignment or schedule it to post at a later date. So this is more or less the Classwork tab, but it is best when you create this tab and you really organize the information to make it easy for students to find. So again, like the original example that I gave you, here's a language arts class and here is their Classwork tab. As you can see, there's all of these topics available for students. And once your list continues to grow and grow, instead of students having to scroll up and down, they can look at the topics here on the left and click homework. And then they're going to be taken straight to all of the homework assignments that have been posted for this classroom. So I hope that you find this video helpful. And again, if you have any questions or concerns, please feel free to reach out to me.